Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about Mapacho tobacco, how I use it, and I'm going to give you some advice on how you can use it on a day-to-day basis or incorporate it into your psychedelic ceremonies. Okay, so what is Mapacho? Well, Mapacho is a native tobacco from South America. The proper name for it is nicotiana rustica, and it's got roughly about 10 times the amount of nicotine in it as normal sort of Western cigarettes do. When you smoke it more like a cigar. You don't inhale it as you do with a normal cigarette. You smoke it just like a cigar, taking it into your mouth and then exhaling it. So I don't want to get too much into all the sort of the details behind it. You can look that stuff up online. But what I'm going to talk about is how I use Mapacho tobacco and give you some tips on how you can fold it into your own sort of ceremonies or day-to-day things to help you connect with that psychedelic experience. Okay, so the first question that I tend to get is, where do you get this stuff? I personally just pick it up whenever I'm in South America. For the last couple of years, I've been in South America once a year. I buy a huge big bundle of these things, and then I bring them home and I store it. And I keep them in a jar like this. And you can see I've got quite a lot of them in there. Lots of different shapes and sizes. Let's crack this open. What I do is I keep them in this jar with some desiccants, the things that absorb water to keep them fresh. I'm not 100% sure this is the best thing to do, but the reason I do it is that one time I put some in here, and because the tobacco is quite moist when you first get it, I actually like little bits of mold started growing in the jar. So I put in some desiccant, and that seemed to solve that problem. I think the downside there would be it does dry out the tobacco, but I'd rather have dry tobacco than mouldy tobacco, so yeah. As I mentioned, I've got all different shapes and sizes in here. I've got these kind of very little cigarette-y type ones, something more in the middle, kind of a slightly fat cigarette. But these are my favourite. These kind of big, fatter, longer burning, lots of smoke comes off them. These are the ones that I really like. So that's where I get it, and this is how I store them. So obviously they look like cigarettes, they look like cigars. So one sort of what I think is a common misconception is that this is a one-to-one switch with cigarettes. So you get people like myself, Western people, who go to South America, they take part in one of these ceremonies, and they give up their Western cigarettes in favour of Mapacho. And I'm not sure this is actually the right way to use it. This is not a replacement for a cigarette. I think this is something that should be used with a lot more intention and sparingly. An example that I would use here is ice cream. And you have to work with me on this. So I love ice cream, and you can get ice cream, and you can just stuff ice cream into your face habitually on every day and just get fat on ice cream, and it's fine. Everybody loves ice cream. But if you go down to the beach and you sit with your family and you all sit there and you all have an ice cream, you look out over the sea, then that's kind of, the ice cream means something. You're kind of anchoring a special moment with that ice cream. And I think that's a better way to eat ice cream than just to stuff it in your face every day. I hope that example wasn't too weird. It works for me. Yeah. So that's kind of how I like to use Mapacho. I use it to anchor a moment, or to set an intention, or to set a flag at a particular moment, something that I want to come back to. So by using Mapacho in that moment, I'm adding to its significance. I'm telling myself that this is a significant moment, and I'm sort of communing through the Mapacho. I'm having a relationship with the Mapacho to cement that moment in my memory, in time, and something that I can come back to and recount. Okay, so there's a few different ways that you can use Mapacho ceremonially. The first one is to clean yourself, to clear yourself or clear the room before a ceremony starts. If any of you have been in ayahuasca ceremonies, you've seen the shaman do this. They usually smoke a Mapacho and blow off to the 4 compass directions to clear the room. But you can also do this on a personal level to clear yourself, and I'll show you how I was taught to do that. So I'm going to take one of these fat boys. And what you want to do is basically cover yourself in the smoke. So you take some of the Mapacho in, and then take one of your body parts and you blow it over there to sort of encompass it. I'll kind of show you now. So I was taught to do this 3 times for each part of your body. So this is how I would clear myself before starting a ceremony. Do one arm, do the same on the other arm. Three puffs, covering your arm in the smoke. And I want to do it on my chest and down to my heart. the next I want to do it sort of over my head, sort of around my aura or whatever. And you can do this for other people too. So my wife, she likes being cleared by Mapacho, but she doesn't like smoking it herself. So she would sort of sit next to me, and I would do the same thing. I'll go over and I would take in the Mapacho and then blow it onto her to clear her. So that's something that you do pre-ceremony. Let's grab an ashtray here. Now the other way that I use Mapacho is actually during a ceremony. Just any kind of psychedelic ceremony. You can do this with ayahuasca or mushrooms or anything. And that's to sort of plant a flag that something significant has happened within this ceremony. And I want to remember it. I want to use this as a lesson in the rest of my life. And so I'm going to kind of commune with the Mapacho to sort of add significance to this moment. So what I'll do is within ceremony, I'll light a Mapacho, and I'll sit and I'll think about whatever's happened, whatever experience I've just gone through, or whatever it is where I think something valuable has occurred. I'm going to get it. I'm just going to focus on that as I smoke the Mapacho, and it kind of you're putting your intention, you're putting that meaning into the Mapacho, and then you're kind of smoking it into a sort of a flag of significance. I hope that makes sense, but that it does for me. So I'd focus. So let's say it's something some kind of lesson I've realised about myself. So I'm going to put it there. And when you smoke it, really kind of like suck deep into it. You really want to sort of hear that fire, to hear that crackle. And this is one of the things I've kind of learned in the relationship I've had with Mapacho. It wants to be burnt. It wants to give off this lovely smoke. It's a sacred smoke. You can sort of, I almost like feel its joy, like crackling and burning. It's what it wants to do. So don't feel bad about burning the Mapacho. At least I don't, anyway. It wants these big thick clouds of smoke. It just wants to sort of to make the smoke. So really sort of suck into it and then blow it out. Make these big clouds of smoke for it. And as you do it, just concentrate on that meaning. Just plant that flag. Remember why this is significant. And what you can do with this is that when you come out of ceremony, as I am now, and then you just find yourself a nice quiet space, and you light a Mapacho, then you can commune. You find yourself back in communion with that space again. You can remember. It's like a link back to that moment in ceremony, and it just helps you. It helps you sort of think back to the experience, think back to why it was significant, and remind yourself of like why you need to incorporate this into your life. So this is why I say you shouldn't just smoke these like cigarettes. It's not a one-to-one thing with cigarettes. This is something to make time for. It's something to give respect to. Sure, if you want to smoke daily or whatever, that's fine. But this isn't something to sort of light up in the car or while you're waiting for a train or something. This is something to make time for. Get home from work, make a bit of space, kind of like I've got here. If you can get yourself away from the noises of modern life, and just treat yourself and get back to that moment that you had with it. Build a relationship with it. These fat ones are really good. They really kind of crackle when I really just love sort of almost just listening to them as you smoke them. The small ones, they're fine, but for me, they've gone far too quickly. I really like the sort of spending the time and having a moment with these big ones. And I just love the smell. The smell of Mapacho is so clean. It's not at all like Western smoke, this kind of dirty, chemically kind of smell. It's really kind of woody and fresh. Sometimes in ceremony, I just light them just to kind of just sit there and sniff them. This might be a bit weird, but that's what I do. I love it. So that's about it for this guide to Mapacho. I hope that wasn't too waffly, and I hope there's some stuff in there that you find useful. If anyone's got any questions about Mapacho or about anything else to do with psychedelics, then feel free to drop me a message. And yeah, if you like the content here on Adeptus Psychonautica, then please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.